Welcome to Conversations with Belle, where we discuss real life issues in a meaningful way. Today, I am joined by dating commentator Tre Amazing, co-creator of Ringside LLC. Can you tell us a little bit about Ringside?
Sure. First and foremost, thank you for having me, Belle. For the people out there that don't know, Ringside is currently a digital community of outspoken, over the top, and opinionated men and women who gather and are assembled to debate topics, salient issues around singlehood, dating, marriage, sex, kink, and fetish. And these are topics, most often polarizing topics that are salient and prevalent in the African American community. So even though it is majority African American, we proudly welcome people from all backgrounds and races, ethnicities, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're anointed or agnostic. If you have, concerns, regarding the dating atmosphere and relationships, sex, and even kink and fetish, then we want to invite you to the ring and, share your thoughts and your opinions. But when you come to the ring, if you share your opinion, be ready to defend it. And so it is predominantly a digital community. We've had live events and, things of that nature. But no, the central focus has always been dating and relationships.
Dating and relationships. So before we jump into our topic, I just wanted to say that I was inspired to wear my violets today because I'm seeing so many newly initiated sorors into Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I'm wearing yellow as a nod to my chapter of initiation, which is Gamma Tau, all the pretty girls at Tuskegee University. So welcome new sorors to Delta Sigma Theta. I see you. Welcome to Delta Land. Now let's get to work. All right. So, you okay?
Oh yeah, I just sneezed.
The other thing I wanted to say before we got started is that I am a Christian, and that informs my opinion on healing and the process of getting over a divorce and through into a new relationship or healing from a breakup. So, I don't want anybody to feel clutching their pearls because I throw a little Jesus in from time to time or pull a scripture out of there. But I just want to let you know on the front end that is what informs the show. That informs my posture. And so that's what you're going to hear. It's not a pitting. We're not going to be pitting men against women, bashing men, bashing women. We both very much believe in the Black family, in Black love, and Black marriage. I believe in Black men. I believe in Black women. And I believe that we can get it right if we continue to have the appropriate conversations to move it forward. So I just want to lay that out there at the beginning. Amen. Amen.
Indeed.
So divorce, when I was going through, looking at my research and, reading all the depressing statistics about divorce, right? I kept looking for, there's a list of like the top 50 stressors in life, right? And so I just want to run through the top 5. What I found across the internet through my research, that's Dartmouth, that's Psych Central, that's all kinds of different outlets, that there are stressors. The top 5 are: number 1 is the death of a spouse. Number 2 is divorce. Number 3 is a marital separation. Number 4 is being incarcerated. And number 5 is the death of a close family member. The top 3 are all related to relationships. And so if you are in the throes of that, if you have recently experienced that and you are going through the pain of that, I want you to not feel like because you're hurting, it means you're weak or you're a simp or you're a punk or, there's a problem with you. It just shows that you're human, and it's normal to feel pain after a divorce or some type of breakup. That is totally normal. Okay, so you have to sit in that and give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling. It's totally natural. We have both I'll let him speak on his, situation. And, I have been through the pain of a divorce. And so I know what that feels like. And it is totally normal. It turns your world upside down. And depending on how you handle that, is going to determine what the rest of your relationships and sometimes
Mhm.
life, what that's going to look like. So did you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you summed it up perfectly. I do agree that people need to realize that, regardless, we can at any day, at any point in life, we can get on the internet, on social media, and see people break down the difference between men and women. Men are this, women are this. You know, this is man's job, this is woman's job. We can do that all day long, but what we rarely do is point out how we're similar as human beings.
Yeah.
We're all human. And I'm glad you put that out there in terms of you need to give yourself permission to be human and to feel the emotions that are present with humans.
Yeah.
You can feel, the hurt, the pain, the sorrow, everything that comes with divorce. And you don't have to judge yourself. Don't allow yourself to judge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to fight those impulses because it doesn't make, because you are, going through pain or because you are upset or angry, even if it's straight up anger,
Yeah.
it's okay to feel that way. It doesn't make you any less of a man, doesn't make you any less of a woman or anything. Now, what you do with it, that's
Right.
the ultimate factor. Now, how you let that pain and that anger and that heartbreak manifest, that ultimately is what depends and what points to your character at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But to feel certain feelings, no, allow yourself to feel that way and you know, understand, don't beat yourself up, lift yourself up.
Why do you think there's such an aversion to admitting that this person that I was once attached to, whether it's a long-term relationship, because that can be just as painful, let's be
Mhm.
honest. Or married to, what is the aversion to admitting to yourself that I am in pain? I loved this person. In some instances, I still love this person. They're no longer a part of my life and it hurts. Why is it so hard, do you think, for us to sit in that and process it versus, just, I'm fine. It's over. It's done. They didn't mean anything. Why is it so hard for us men? I'll let you speak for men, and
Mhm.
I'll try to articulate for women why that might be an issue. I can't speak for all women, obviously, but why do you think there's an aversion to sit in that and let it marinate and massage that, and get through that feeling of despair, even?
I mean, based on your question and how I'm processing it, I think it's no different than asking what's the difference between easy and hard.
Hmm.
I think that's really, one is easy, one is hard. It's
Yeah.
easy to say, I'm fine, let's keep it moving, let's keep going. Life goes on, one day leads to the next. Let's keep it going, let's keep moving, let's not stop. And we got other things that we can focus on. That's easy. Anybody, almost damn near anybody can do that. And short term, and I do want to stress, very short term, that
Mhm.
is always going to be perceived as the best solution. Why? Because as you said, stewing in the problem, letting it marinate, thinking about it, even admitting that you feel sad or you're hurt, that forces you back into that divorce or back into that space of
Mhm.
hurt. That means you actually have to sit and think about what happened. You also may have to take some inventory in terms of, maybe some things you need to admit to yourself that maybe you did
Yeah.
that, if you could go back and if you can, reverse the hands of time and like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done this, or maybe I could have handled this situation differently. So, as far as looking inward and being introspective, it's going to be hard. It's going to be traumatizing. You may need to come prepared to cry, bring some tissue
Yeah.
because you may have to look back at like, okay, dag, maybe I shouldn't have done that, or that was wrong of me. I
Yeah.
should have thought twice. So that's the hard part because that takes work, and that work has to come, from inward. Versus, like I said, it's easy just to keep it moving and just forget about it. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you really are going to forget about it, but it's easy to just, remain in motion. Let's keep it moving. Because
Yeah.
if I stand still, if I stop walking, if I stop running, if I stop crawling, now I got to think about it. Now I got to actually think about my divorce and how it's making me feel.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is I think that people obviously have an aversion to pain, but I look at it like childbirth, right? The only way to have that baby, you're going to have to push it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's, unless you have a C-section, and even after that, there's some pain involved. But
Mm-hmm.
when I went into labor, the only way that those boys were coming out, there was one way out. And there was no, wait, no, can they just synthesize through my skin and not come out the birth canal and cause all there's the only way to get through that thing is to walk through it. And I think people, like you said, don't want to face themselves. They don't want to think about how they may have contributed to the demise of the relationship. They don't want to think about how they may have chosen the wrong person and overlooked red flags. A lot of times I can remember for myself, I realized you're not necessarily grieving losing him as much as you are grieving the hopes and the dreams that you had attached to him. And I had somewhere in there thought the only way I could have that family and that life that I wanted was through him. And so how I processed it was, now that that's over, I can never have that again. I can never have it, even though I really technically didn't have it when we were together. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really important to sit and to reflect. I'm not saying stew on it. I'm not saying, live in that thing for years and years and years, but you do have to take some time to process what happened. And sometimes you have to say to yourself, because it's even painful to get those words out sometimes, to say it's over. I'm no longer with Nathan. I'm no longer with Shauna. I'm no longer with, whom that hurts. Like, it physically hurts sometimes to say that, to think that, to accept that this person that I saw every single day and woke up to every single morning, and I knew the minutia of their day and I knew what was going on in their life, and now I'm no longer a part of that. All of that hurts. And I think that people they get scared of that and they don't want to touch it because it hurts, when really the only way you're going to heal and move on is you got to touch it. You got to touch it. You got to acknowledge this thing hurts like hell. I miss this person. I miss this person. Maybe I shouldn't, I don't know, but I miss this person. I'm hurting. And it's easy to just like compartmentalize that. I guess that's what you would call it, is a compartmentalization of it. And you just kind of go on going like it's not, but over here you're sick, like your whole left side, you're paralyzed with this thing, and you want to act like it's not there. So I think you there's no way around it. Like
I agree.
You have to sit in it at least for a little while. Don't you think?
No, I agree. It doesn't work unless you touch it.
Yeah.
I just had to say that. Sorry, so many ways I can go with that.
Yeah. But we're not, because it's Sunday, right?
Right,
it's a Sunday, and we're gonna keep it holy. Hallelujah. Okay.
Indeed. No, I agree. I do want to just revise what I said in terms of keeping it moving and not thinking about it. That's easy. That's the easy route, and that's what a lot of us do versus sitting and thinking about it and being introspective. But I do believe, no pain, no gain. I do believe, even though it's easy, you're not going to make the pain go away. It's easy to deal with the pain by drinking. It's easy to deal with the pain by smoking something, but it doesn't make it go away. That's all it is. Even keeping it moving, all it is just escapism. That's all you're doing. But it's not going to go away until you sit and you deal with it head on. You have to address it. And addressing it means that you may have to admit some hard truths to yourself. You may have to admit some things that you didn't want to say out loud, but needed to be said. And that may come with some accountability. It may come with, realizing, okay, I was wrong over here. And even if that's not the case, you have to identify and address this pain and what you're going through, because it's inwards. You can keep doing
Yeah.
all these external things outside of you, hoping that it'll make it go away, or hoping that you can blunt the pain long enough. But again, that's all escapism. It's not a long-term solution. It makes you feel better in the short term, but
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. When you finish that bottle or you finish that blunt, the pain still be there. It's not going anywhere. It's that pain.
Or you walk them to the door,
Right. Or
in
you
the
walk them to
morning,
the door,
you
or
walk
call them an
somebody to
Uber,
the door,
or,
there you are.
regardless.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You're there. It doesn't matter which, walk them to the door, flush the condom down the toilet, whatever the case may be. Your pain will be a loyal, friend.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere until you address it. And so
Yeah.
you have to, get to that point and have those hard conversations with yourself, and just admit, this is what happened to me. It doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily make it, it's not necessarily an indictment on your character. It doesn't mean that you're doomed for the
It
rest
might
of your
be.
life. Huh?
I said sometimes it might be, because
It's sometimes,
sometimes we're the problem,
oh yeah.
sometimes we're the problem. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, depending on the circumstances. I mean, yeah, if you were the person, if you were cheating and lying and philandering, or couldn't keep your hands to yourself, or couldn't keep your parts at home, or lying about money, or so many other things, yeah, that definitely may be the problem. But again, a lot of us who have gone through, painful breakups or painful divorces, well, number one, again, there is life after divorce. You can
There
move
is.
forward. You have to understand, okay, yes, I love that person. I didn't want this person to be out of my life, or I didn't want to do this, but there are other things, life goes on. I know it sounds cliche to say that. It's very cliche to tell someone, hey, life goes on, but things are often cliche because they're true, and life does go on.
The worst kind of deception is self-deception. And I think that we do ourselves a disservice when we're not honest about what is really happening. And so a lot of people are operating in this alternate universe, like that's happening over there, but I'm over here because I don't want to deal with that. And you never get to your healing because you won't address that. And so um that's why it's so important. That's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I just feel like you bump into people, and a disclaimer, we're not talking about narcissists. We're not talking about people with psychiatric diagnosis and their own meds and getting all kinds of treatment. We're not talking about those people. We're talking about your average man, your average woman who has been through a divorce, who has been through a painful breakup. And
Mm-hmm.
true enough, there are some people that you lose, and it's kind of like, oh, that's inconvenient, but I'll be all right. And then there are other people that come into our lives that are special. And when it ends, that thing hurts. Okay. And so what we have to get to as adults is admitting that to ourselves. This hurts. It sucks. It hurts. Maybe I messed it up, maybe I didn't, all of those things that are normal that you feel. But then you got to walk through that to figure out how you get to a healthy place, a
Mm-hmm.
healed place, so that you can still go on and have a wonderful life with someone else. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we tell ourselves we can only be happy with this person, or we can only be happy
Mm-hmm.
with that person, and that's not true. um that's not true. So you can get to that, though. You have to do the work, right? You
Yeah.
have to do the work. And so that's what this show is about. It's about how do you do the work to get to that step. So I would say the first step is to be radically accepting of the fact that it has ended. Okay. Now it's
Mm-hmm.
going to hit different if you were the fumbler versus the fumbly. If you were the person who messed it up, it's going to be a little more painful, right? If you have
It's a different
any,
healing track when you're the yeah no I when you're the one
going to get
who
a little
messed.
different when you let somebody slip through your fingers versus you being the one who was fumbled. You know what I mean? It's going to hurt. Both are going to hurt. But if you're the one who caused it, and you have any kind of self-awareness, there's any type of self-reflection, and you're like, I messed that thing up, your healing is going to look a little different than
Mm-hmm.
the other person. But that's not to say you can't heal. And that's not to say that you still don't deserve love. Sometimes you can salvage that if you would just not be prideful, pick up the phone, send a text message, humble yourself, and be like, you know what, I really messed that thing up. I don't want to lose you. Can we try again? But so many people are fearful of doing it, and I don't understand it.
I
I
mean,
don't understand why that is. You
you know,
know,
it's that you have to get to that point. I ain't too proud to beg. If it's the right one, if it's some, I mean, and you're right, pride, ego, um, a lot of that, just delusion. Social media
delusion.
social media supports and congratulates delusional people.
Yeah,
Let's be
yeah,
honest. I'm like, delusion is the name of the game nowadays. But you have to kind of lock yourself in a room and have that conversation, those hard conversations with yourself. And you have to kind of, even if that means, look, I need to point the finger at me and say, you know what, I was the problem.
yeah,
I should have been a better man or a better woman or a better, helpmate or a better provider or whatever the case may be. I dropped the ball, or instead of listening to my spouse, I listened to social media, or I
mhm.
listened to,
Your
you know,
friends.
friends. You can listen to external bullshit that may not necessarily have may not or did not have your marriage in its best interest, but it was self-serving. And I feel like, okay, if you have to admit within yourself, look, I took my eye off the prize.
Mhm.
I took my eye off the ball, and I looked elsewhere for validation, or I looked elsewhere for this and third, when I should have been going to my spouse, or I should have been doing this. That's a hard thing to do. And so I think it's easier said than done, but you can't find healing. You can't find the healing that you need, that the future you and the future, better version of yourself is waiting
Yeah.
on, because the better version of you that, is going to find love, that's going to find, more career success and thrive. That better version of you is out there waiting on you to catch up, waiting
Yeah.
on you to now get the message like, this can be your future. You can get over this, but you have to do some inventory. You have to take stock and say, look, this is what it is. This is what happened. This is how I feel about it. Now, what do we do?
Yeah.
So I see your SARs are showing up strong in the comments.
And I want to address Naima's point. She said, and change the behavior. You are absolutely right, because an apology is nothing. It means
Nothing.
absolutely nothing
Lip
without
service.
changing the behavior. And sometimes that's a 180 immediately, and sometimes the person needs time to, if you've been operating in a certain sphere, your whole life, me meeting you now, and inside of 3 weeks you identifying to be, hey, that's toxic. I
Mhm.
don't know where you picked that up, but that's not going to work for us. I may not be able to change that in 7 days. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to need a little grace if it's not something that's life threatening, or that's going to jeopardize your health or our health or anything like that. But sometimes our cutoff game is a little too quick and a little too strong. So some people, they have been operating in a sphere of, that's all they've had is like toxic relationships. So then they meet you, and you're like healthy and happy, and you're like, what are you doing? Like,
Mhm.
we don't yell, we don't scream in this house, we don't swear at each other, we don't hang up the phone, we don't do those. I don't do those kinds of things. They have to adjust. And so sometimes we have to give people a grace period to see if they're willing to
Mhm.
change that behavior. So you're right. Without the change behavior, it means absolutely nothing. I also wanted to touch on the listening to friends, because friends are well-meaning. Most of the people that you consider to be your like real friends are well-meaning, but they're not in the relationship, and they only know your side.
Right.
So I would caution you. I mean, you can consider what they tell you, but for me, it's me talking to God, and it's me. Their voice can't drown out mine. So
Right.
I can honestly say that there was a period in my life where I trusted what one or two friends thought more than than I trusted what I thought, and that's a dangerous
Mhm.
place to be. So you have to find your own voice. You have to have your own internal compass. You have to listen to your conscious, your sixth sense, energy, all of that, And, I feel like if you don't have a prayer life, or if you don't have some type of spiritual connection, then you're not going to be able to navigate that. You're going to always listen to, everybody else is always going to drown out what's best for you, because you don't really know who you are. So the friend thing, they mean well, but you really have to take inventory of what's going on and what's best for you. And they won't really know that because they're not in the relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we often, even if it's a romantic relationship, or problems with your job, problem with your family, money, whatever the case, it's almost a knee-jerk reaction for a lot of people to go and see what their homeboy or the homegirl thinks, because we're looking for a sounding board. We're looking for someone, and in some cases, I mean, let's be honest with us, sometimes we're looking for people who we know before we call them, we know that they're going to affirm whatever it is we're feeling. And so, oftentimes we need to accept that, for some people, they call those people are their friends for that reason. Whatever I'm feeling, I know they're going to support it. I know they're going to agree with it. And that's not always a good thing. That can be a bad thing. And so going to your friends can be one option, but it shouldn't be the gavel. It shouldn't be, this is the final brick, as far as if the friend says that this person is a terrible person, then yeah, and that's it. This person, no, they're giving you their take. At the end of the day, they don't have to go home and lie in bed with that person that you're with. They don't have
Right.
to deal with that person. They don't
They,
have
they
to.
don't
They're
they
not
don't get the
responsible
pillow
for that.
talk. Right. They don't get the pillow talk. They didn't have the late night phone conversations or the early morning phone conversations, or, them crying to you about whatever's happening. They don't know those things about that person. And so, I think a lot of times we get jammed up in our relationships, marriages, and even the breakups. Sometimes the voices of others drowns out our own, and we find ourselves by ourselves because we didn't listen to ourselves.
Mm. Yeah. No, it's what about your friends? That's important, but don't. If y'all haven't realized, I'm a TLC fan, big time. Friends is one thing, but at the end of the day, that shouldn't be the alpha and omega of your decision. Whatever decision you make, whether it be to stay or to leave, don't make your friend, because again, win or lose, they're not going, the ultimate brunt of your pain is not going to fall on them.
Right.
And
And
so,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, and that's what I was going to say, as far as, it's one thing to get an opinion. I don't, I'm gonna get an opinion. I'm gonna get your perspective. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean you have to agree with me. But at the end of the day, doesn't me getting your one opinion, that's not going to be the end of the show. It's not going to
Yeah.
be the end of my tour, as far as looking for perspective. No, you just gave me one opinion. That's it. Maybe I agree with it, maybe I didn't, but you gave me some outlook and perspective. But don't, the last thing anybody, man or woman, don't make a major decision about your relationship or your marriage just simply based on what your friends have to say.
And a
That
lot of
doesn't
times,
make sense.
if we aren't honest, our friends are just barely hanging on themselves. So, you take it with a grain of salt. And again, I feel like every friend that's ever given me advice, I feel like they were all well intentioned. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like what they said is what they really believed needed to be done, or how it needed to be handled. However, nobody knows better than you do what's going on in that relationship. And so, and they couldn't possibly know because they're not in it. So I would just caution folks against, whatever my friend says to do, that's what I'm going to do. Or
Yeah, don't do that.
even podcasts, there's so many messages out there. There's so many, things people are saying, and then you listen to this person and that person. You have to really be careful about what you're taking in, who you're listening to, who's informing your decisions. And so if you don't, for me, if you don't have a prayer life or some type of spiritual connection, you're going to be all over the place. I'm going to try this, try that, and it caused the relationship to fail anyway, because you don't really know what you're doing. You're like trying a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and not doing this long enough to see if this works. And you're now, it's just, you can't live your life that way. So
No,
consider
yeah.
the source.
If I
Always
have a
consider the
friend,
source.
Yeah, no, oh, no, that's the thing. That's the biggest thing. I think I was whatever everything I'm about to say is pretty much you just said. Consider the source. Um, some friends, I'm looking at it like, okay, I'm not going to take your advice because I don't want to be like you. I don't want your life,
Yeah.
or and for and there are some people I know who I may think that they may be a good person for me to go and confide in because maybe this person out of everyone is willing to meet me at Waffle House and talk or
Hmm.
speak on the phone. But then I look at it like, okay, look at what they're going through. Maybe, are they bitter? Is a bitter person going to give you positive advice?
Yeah.
Is an angry person or someone who's traumatized, you have to consider their advice versus someone who, isn't going through the same thing. Because some people really are, their advice is steeped in
Hmm.
bitterness of the
Trauma.
opposite, or trauma or
Yeah.
hatred or distrust. I
Yeah.
think a lot of us, a lot of people, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people know that one man or that one woman that everything out their mouth is hatred towards opposite sex. Or there are certain people you look at like you don't like women, do you? Or you
Mm-mm.
don't like men, do you?
Mhm.
So, like you said, consider the source because some people you already know ahead of time. You can tell them, oh, my spouse, left the toilet seat up last night, or my spouse didn't wash the dishes. You already know, break up, girl, get a divorce. He don't love you. He don't.
Girl, I wouldn't stay there if I was you. Yeah, okay.
Right, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Oh, he only took you to this restaurant. He didn't
Yeah.
fly you out and like, oh, girl, don't listen to them people. No, don't listen to them. That's not good.
What do you think hurts more? Staying in a bad marriage, bad relationship, or leaving one?
Probably staying in it. I mean, if you've already identified this is a bad situation, we're in a bad
Mhm.
marriage, a bad relationship, you know, I think it's worse to stay because at least if you leave, you can find your happiness. But then you have to ask yourself, what makes it bad? Is it bad because the person you with because they don't agree with you all the time and they challenge
Mhm.
you? Is it bad because you don't get your way all the time? Or, so, again, if someone were to say, you know, I want to leave my bad marriage, I mean, let's define what bad marriage is because bad
Yeah.
marriage to one person may be, I'm in a bad marriage because my spouse cheats on me all the time. Well, I'm in
Mhm.
a bad marriage because this person doesn't spend enough money on me for my birthday or for Christmas. And so bad, everyone's definition of bad is going to differ. But I
Mhm.
do agree that if you are in a situation where it's robbing you of your life in a sense of it's wreaking havoc on your mental health, wreaking havoc on your feelings of self-worth, your esteem, your connections and closeness with your family and friends, then that could be what I would describe as a bad marriage or a bad relationship, whatever the case may be. Is going to hurt you worse to stay there and just why do because at the end of the day, regardless of man, I would ask if you are quote unquote in a bad marriage, in some like, why do you feel like you deserve it? Do you think you deserve it? Or do you not think you deserve better? But
Mhm.
again, I can't underscore this point enough. It all depends on what you describe as bad, because again, there are people out there that feel like, I'm in a bad marriage because my man can't buy me a Birkin bag,
Mm.
or I'm in a bad marriage because my man doesn't, you know, fly me to Dubai like all my girlfriends or my sorors, whatever the case may be. And I know I've definitely gone through that. I've experienced that firsthand um, in terms of social media tells people their marriage and their relationship is bad every single day. Even outside of that, even if your marriage or relationship could be okay, social media has turned keeping up with the Joneses into a completely different monster. A complete, keeping up with the Joneses was bad enough long before social media came to its height. But now people think they're in bad relationships simply because they don't have what their peers have, or they're not living the kind of life they feel like they should live based on what social media is telling them. So consider that, as far as whether or not you feel like, should I stay or should I go? Because what you think is bad could be a blessing. I saw something and I'll end here. Someone a long time ago said, my marriage is bad because it's boring. I have a boring marriage. When you're in reality, boring could be that blessing that you
Good.
pray for when you ask for
Oh,
peace.
good. Yeah.
Years ago, years ago when you asked for peace or you prayed for no drama and stuff like that, now this could be the answer to your prayers, and now it's bad. Now all of a sudden, what was good outside any other time now is bad. So also, again, be careful of, that kind of binary.
Yeah. Another thing too is it's so important to like know who you are. Like I think a lot of we end up coupled, married, whatever, and we don't really know who we are. And so we don't really know what our needs are until we get into the relationship and you're like, oh, my needs aren't being met. What are my needs? And so then things start to unravel. And if the other partner is unwilling to address that, to take seriously what you're saying about needs not being met, what my needs are, then it's gonna fail.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you go in, if you go in and you have a sense of what's important to me, he must be this, this, and this. She must be these things. And when you meet someone and they're not any of those things, you don't get caught up staying too long where you don't belong. And so I think that a lot of people, they hitch themselves to the wrong wagon, you know, and they invest so much time, energy, money, and they're like, I gotta stay. I've invested all these things whereas, at the 3 month mark, I'm just throwing an arbitrary number out there. At the 3 month mark, if you were honest with yourself and said to yourself, this ain't it, you could have walked away scot-free, a little bruised, but scot-free versus dragging that thing on 2, 5, 7 years. And then, you're on social media crying on live because he left you for your best friend when you knew in month 3 that he really wasn't about anything. So I just think while you're healing, it is very important to figure out what your non-negotiables are, to figure out what type of person you want to be in relationship with, to figure out what your needs are, the things that you must have, the things that you maybe can do without. Because if you go in there and you don't really know, a beautiful body and a beautiful face or a smooth talking man will have you wasting time. Will have you wasting a whole lot of time, and you'll look up and it's 5 years later and you don't have any of the things that you wanted when you first met. So I just think use the time that you're use the time that you're single to work on yourself and figure out who you are, what you need, what you want before you enter into another relationship.
Boom.
No,
I've had to deal with this personally, so I understand from my standpoint, what I've had to encounter is definitely easier said than done, because again, you can be single and then it means you have to ask yourself hard questions. And, I've had to tell people that in ringside, when I see certain comments from people who, for some people, let's be honest, if they're with someone for years, whatever the case may be, some people do have the attitude that it's too difficult, or they don't want to stomach the idea of starting over with somebody new.
And that's a choice. That's their choice. Yeah, they can stay if they want. Yeah.
It's like, I've been with this person. Do I feel like I got to relearn somebody else, know their favorite color, know their favorite foods and their, idiosyncrasies and stuff like that? It's like sometimes, it's like, I don't feel like going. That sounds hard. I'd rather just stay here. Yeah, what I got is imperfect. I'm not being valued or treated with, but it's better than. Some people feel like just being single it's better than being single, or it's better to just start. Right? I'm like, is it? It's sometimes single is much, much better. I understand that some people don't want to be single, and we often, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately with a capital U, unfortunately, you do have certain podcasters out there and certain media personalities, both living and dead, who may make you feel bad for being single or make you feel less than valuable because you don't have someone in your life. And they're completely wrong. Being single is not an indictment on your character or your value, who you are. Some people are
Hmm.
single because they're healing, they're recovering, they're repairing, they're restoring, renovating, whatever the case, whatever, however you want to call it, and figuring out, okay, this is who I am. This is what makes me me. This is who I truly am. This is what I truly want to be, bars.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't want to have that conversation with themselves, because
Yeah.
if you have too deep a conversation with yourself, then you may have to take on certain, you know, labels or coverings that maybe you try to avoid, or maybe you feel like, okay, this isn't, I've explained to people, no matter what you're into, there's a tribe out there for you. There's
Hmm.
other people out there that are into the exact same thing. There are certain people who are married right now, and I'm a couple of people are bouncing on my head right now. There are certain people in my head right now in real life that are married that shouldn't be married or shouldn't be in monogamous relationships, because had you had a long conversation with yourself, by yourself, you should have known, look, I can't be with one person. One person doesn't make me happy. Life's too short, whatever the case may be. There's nothing wrong with feeling that way. What's wrong is choosing to enter into a monogamous relationship with someone who's expecting monogamy, because you couldn't freely admit to yourself that a
Yeah.
monogamous relationship is not what you want, but you don't want to be a disruptor, or you don't want to, push back and stuff like that. So you get into these relationships that really aren't fulfilling and really aren't who you are, but
Hmm.
it's what society says this is what you're supposed to do, or this is the look, that your marriage is supposed to have, or this is how your marriage is supposed to function, knowing good and well it doesn't align with your values or who you are. But we do it anyway, because we don't want to have that conversation with ourselves, knowing good and damn well this is not what I want or who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Single is not a disease. Like, so I don't know where this whole idea came
Amen.
from, where women and men, I think there's probably more pressure on women to be married and wifed up, booed up. Men are is kind of whatever if they're not. But I don't know why we feel in general that if we're not in a relationship, somehow that means that, excuse me, we don't have any value. And
Mhm.
I think when you adopt that attitude, it really says more about you and how you feel about yourself than anything else. And I encourage women to, find purpose, because when you find purpose, all that other stuff kind of withers away, like, because you're so energized, because you're doing what you feel like you were put on this earth to do, which is it could be teach, it could be sing, it could be writing, it could be whatever. And so that fills those voids that you might have, versus if you're doing something that you've not really been put here to do, so you feel empty. So in your mind, the only thing that can fill the void is a man. Doesn't matter the quality of the man, just a man. Then you get the a man and you are miserable,
Hmm.
but you have a man. And so I feel like when you build up your self-esteem, when you build up your self-love tank, when you find purpose, your taste buds change.
Hmm. No, you do. I mean, it's a difference, it's going to be a difference in the quality of people, men and women, regardless
Mhm.
of who we are. It's going to be a difference when you've reached a certain point within yourself, a certain comfortability, a certain confidence, a certain assurance, like, okay, how I felt about who I was and what I deserved back in 2017. Like, no, it's a different year
That's
now.
not gonna work.
No, I'm like, we don't want no scrubs this year. I'm like, no, you know who I am now, or what I've done. And, I've reached a point where I know within myself, God has something better for me.
Yeah.
God knows, I don't deserve to be with someone who does A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z to me. It makes me feel a certain kind of way. No, I deserve someone who actually loves me
Mhm.
and, wants me for me. Fact of the matter is, you're going to have those people in this atmosphere we're living in now that's going to demonize you, regardless if you're doing the work to be single and you're enjoying yourself. They're going to demonize you regardless. And those people, keep it moving, keep it scrolling, click that Xbox, Exit out. You don't have to listen to
Don't read
them.
the comments.
Don't read comments. No, stay away from the comments. Just by all means, stay away from the comment section. Don't listen to those people who are going to tell you that you are less than because you don't have another warm body in your bed, or because somebody out there isn't claiming you as their, their man or their woman. No, you can find self-worth. You can find confidence. You can take over the world as a single person.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And
when
you
and
can
when
find
you're
a
I'm
lot of
sorry.
happiness as single too.
And when you're self-possessed, when you have a sense of who you are and you understand what you deserve and you've decided. So for me personally, I'm not going to invest long term or marry a man who's not healed enough for us to have a healthy relationship. I'm just not going to do it. So if I never meet that guy, I'm okay with being single forever. Okay.
Hmm.
So you got to get to the point where you feel like if the guy never shows up, who can treat me the way I deserve to be treated, make me feel loved and desired and cared for and cherished. If that guy never shows up, what does that mean for me? Are you okay with it? And it's okay if you're not. It's fine if you say, you know what, I don't want to that to be my reality. I will settle for this. That's a choice. Do whatever's going to make you happy. But for the woman who wants more, who feels like she deserves more, you have to get to the point where you're like, I'm just not going to take any old thing. I'm just not going to do it. And
Right.
and you know, social media would have us believe that there are not any good men out there. I beg to differ. There are good men out there. They might be a little bruised, they might be a little tired. They may have gone through some things that, has shaken their confidence, but at heart, they're good men. And we have to define what a good man is. Just because they
Mhm.
have a job and a degree, that doesn't make you good. I'm talking about character. The
Absolutely.
character
No.
is what's important to me, your character. And so if he's of good character, there are men out there that look like us, that have good character out there and they want to love women that look like us. So do not believe what some social media influencers are saying so that you're desperate and you're now settling for being in a throuple. When
Right.
that's not what you really want. You want
Right.
a
No.
monogamous relationship, then that's what you should shoot for.
There's nothing wrong with, not wanting to be, I do feel like if you're single, there's so much happiness to be gained. But if you're someone who, and we've all know people like that, people who they need to be with someone. They love relationships, they love companionship. I'm not picking on those people whatsoever.
Mhm.
I think it's a beautiful thing, but don't get to the point where you're so desperate and so ravenous for a relationship, you just pick up on anybody because, like you said, just well, they got a job and and we have sex. So I'm like, that don't make it a good relationship. Don't mean that you should be with that person. Don't take scraps. Don't take anything, any and everything. I mean, just because it's available. Because the fact of the matter is, intrinsically, you want someone who is going to treat you well, who's going to prioritize your happiness, prioritize your comfort, make you feel special, make you feel like you are deserving of love. Because I think we all are deserving of love. Um, but yes, ladies, gentlemen, everything else between, get off social media. Social media is hurt. So I've benefited from social media as well, a lot of people, but I've also been hurt by social media.
Mhm.
Social media can make people who aren't in pain feel in pain. Make
Yeah.
people who otherwise would feel valuable feel less than valuable. So don't. Social media is not always the go-to in that regard, but ladies, you are valuable. You are important. Black women, you deserve strong black men, and there are strong black men out here. I
Mhm.
would say me, but I'm spoken for at this point. I'm not looking, so I keep my heart, and my parts at home. But there are definitely good, strong, um, commitment-minded black men
Mhm.
out here who are looking
Mhm.
for commitment-minded black women. They may not look like Drake. They may not be tall like basketball players. They may not have wallets like Steve Harvey, but it doesn't make them broke. We need to get out of this
Right.
habit. You know, Thanks to social media, unfortunately, we need to get out of this habit of just because they're not making six figures and they must be broke, or just because they can't fly me out every weekend, they got to be broke or whatever. No, let's so y'all, let's just stop being stupid. Let's just stop giving social media that much control and that much power over our long-term happiness and the quality of people, because there are great quality ladies. If you're out there, there's some quality men out there. They're looking for you. They're in the daylight with a flashlight looking for you, GPS. And so they are out there. Don't let anybody make you feel like every man is a passport bro. Ugh. Or this
Yeah.
this drizzle crap that's going on now. It's like, yeah, that's not real life. It's
And
just
black and our black men deserve love, and they deserve a woman who is soft, right? And so if you keep attaching yourself to Tyrone's
Tyrone
and
can't get a break.
Ray Rays and Pookie's, all of that softness that we have, that's the sauce, ladies. And so if you keep picking men who treat you bad, you're gonna become hyper masculine, and you're not gonna attract a man who likes feminine women. And so the sauce is your femininity. It's you being soft and pink. And so I don't want to let anybody take that away from me. I want to maintain my softness because my man deserves that. So just be mindful of that when you meet people. And it's really quick. It's really, you'll be able to assess pretty quickly the character of that man. And if you start feeling like this is not where I'm supposed to be, leave. Go. Deuces. Because if he's not going to treat you right, there is someone else out there who will.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to stop with the scarcity mindset where we believe that only one person can treat us right. You have to settle for what this one person is giving you because that's all there is out there. Now, there are some men who you got to work with them. Okay. They're trying to get there and they've been hurt and they, going through some things. And if you see the quality there, then I would encourage you to work with that man. But some men, you can tell right away, this ain't it. And we get jammed up staying anyway because we like them. Or they're fine, or they have this, or they have that, when the character is not there. And so if we pay more attention to the character than those external things, I think we'll be able to stay soft and pink. So the whole point of this show was to talk about steps to heal. So let's make sure we get those in. So the first thing we said was to radically accept, that it's ended. You have to sit in that, massage that, say it out loud, write it down on a sheet of paper, and just accept that it's over. And no matter how it hurts to say that to yourself, accept that is in fact what's happened. And people say you have to properly grieve so that you can properly leave. So if you don't ever grieve that thing, you're not going to ever be able to wrap that chapter of your life up so that you can move on to someone else who may be ready, willing, and able to love you the way that you want to be loved, the way that you need to be loved, the way that you deserve to be loved. So take the time that you need to accept that the relationship has ended. If there's a conversation that needs to be had, perhaps you were the fumbler. Okay. Maybe you could salvage it if you pick up the phone and talk to that person. Just have the adult conversation. They might hang up on you. They might block you. They might say, I'm glad you called. Let's talk about it. But you never know if you sit in the spirit of, I ain't gonna call them. I'm too proud, whatever. So sometimes you have
that pride, boy.
That pride to have you crying in the middle of your bed 3:00 in the morning because you lost a good thing. You know what I mean? So if it was you, if you were the fumbler, I think you should have a conversation. If you can. If you can't, fine, stick a pin in it and move on. But you can go on to have, a healthy relationship with someone else.
Oh yeah,
Um,
if you are the fumbler, in addition to, having that conversation with yourself and accepting,
mhm,
look, it's over,
mhm,
it's done. This person has
mhm,
left, they've moved out, they've checked out. You have to verbalize it, you have to say it and just admit it.
mhm,
But now, and also, look, if you're, and this is going to tie in with what you said, if you are the fumbler, in addition to, if you can, sit down and admit it's over, but also like, look, I messed up. Maybe social media, maybe society, maybe other people may get behind me and blame that other person. But at the end of the day, I know within myself, I was the one that I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I didn't communicate when I should have been communicating, or I didn't fulfill my end of the bargain, fulfill my end of the bargain like I should have.
mhm,
You have to have that hard conversation and admit it. You have to admit some things that maybe you don't want to hear about yourself.
mhm.
And like, look, I should have been a better man, or I should have been a better woman, should have
Yeah.
been a better spouse. So, and I'm not saying you have to do that in group therapy. And I'm not saying you have to make a post about it on social media. That could be just sitting in your room by yourself and admit, look,
Mhm,
I messed up, not them. Regardless of what my family, friends may think, the truth of the matter is I messed up. This is how I fumbled. Moving forward, this is
mhm.
how I'm not going to do it again. Goes
Right.
in line with what you said, even if that means, you know, getting out in front of getting your way, picking up that cell phone and calling and like, look, can we talk? Regardless of, this is how you feel and this is your decision to move on. I respect it, but I want to say I acknowledge this is where I messed up. I acknowledge that, you know, in this situation, I was a problem. You weren't. This was all me. If you give me a second chance, this is how I promise to change. Like one of your SARs in the comments said, change behavior. If you
Mhm,
call and speak to that person, because like you said, that person that, they may be on the other end waiting. They may be waiting on you to make that phone call, maybe waiting for that email or that whatever, for you just to admit what you did, admit how you may cause it. So a lot of this, for the people out there watching, a lot of this involves having hard conversations with yourself.
mhm.
It starts with there. If you can't be honest with yourself, then it's a wrap. Forget about it.
And let me clarify because I see people going off in the comments. I'm not speaking about someone who abused you, someone who cheated on you, someone who did some heinous, I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about if there was just a misunderstanding. And
Mm,
rather than talking it out and figuring out how, because you're going to have to do that in a marriage. You have to work things out. You have to talk and work things out. So you practice while you're in a relationship. At least that's what I believe. And
mhm.
so if it's something that's just a misunderstanding and you feel that you had that connection with that person that's unlike any other that you had, but your pride is telling you, I'm not going to call them because I never call. I'm used to people calling me, or you're too afraid to have the conversation because you don't want to hear what the other person has to say or whatever. But if it's just something like it's a misunderstanding, you should be able to pick up the phone as an adult. We're not teenagers. As
Mhm.
full grown adult, 40 plus, you should be able to pick up the phone and say, you know what? I was wrong. And if you'll give me an opportunity, these are the steps I'm going to take to ensure that that never happens again. And then give them the opportunity. And they blow it again, and they just blow it again. But
Mhm.
I'm just saying that sometimes we talk ourselves out of good, relationships that have potential to be great because you're doing toxic things that you've always done with people you've always dated, which is run or not have the conversation or let your pride get in the way. And so I'm just saying, think outside the box a little bit. If sometimes you meet people and they are special and they are deserving of a conversation. So I'm
Mhm.
just saying, don't fumble somebody that's special. If it's somebody that you don't care anything about and you don't feel anything, but if there's any part of you that's like, I would like another chance with this person, you probably need to pick up the phone and have a conversation like a grown up.
Pick up that
That's
phone.
that's what I think. What do you
No,
think?
I agree. I agree and support that because, I remember I remember being in high school when that episode of Martin came on, when he was with Billy D. Williams, and he talked about pride. And I knew what the definition of pride was, but I wasn't always familiar with the context of pride as it pertains to being in a relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
so that episode, Martin taught me a whole lot, like,
Mm-hmm.
because I saw how Martin's posture was like, nope, got too much pride. I ain't calling. I
Mm-hmm.
ain't calling. And Billy D had to just kind of lay some game on and let him know, like, no, pride, or what is that, the weeds in the garden of love, or something like that. He said something very eloquent that made sense. I'm 15 years old at the time. I'm like, man, it made so much sense. I need to pick up the phone and call somebody. I'm single, but I need to call somebody and tell them. But we have to, and ego is not just a male thing. Women go through it
Mm-hmm.
too. But you have to get it, get out of that mindset that I'm too good, I'm too special to admit when I'm wrong. Well, of course, I'm me. You know who I am? What I look like saying I'm wrong? What I look like apologizing to you? That's not that you got a whole reversal you need to do if that's how you feel, man and woman. If you sit up there thinking I ain't got a call, or I'm not about to call that lazy, tired Negro, or I'm not about. No, that's the problem. You are the
It's
problem.
all a choice. It's all a choice. But truth be told, some marriages could have been saved if people were just willing to have a conversation. So I know what I'm talking about there. So I'm just saying, if you were the fumbler and you
Mm-hmm.
didn't do anything abusive, you weren't cheating, you weren't
Right.
lying. It's just a your way is not their way, and you guys are trying to figure out how to work together. I feel like that deserves a conversation. I feel like that's the right thing to do if that person is special to you. Only if they're special, because like I said before, there are some people you meet and you lose them or the relationship ends and it's like, oh, that's unfortunate, but it'll be whatever. But then there are
Mm-hmm.
some people that come across our paths that are special, and I'm talking about the special people. And we know the difference between somebody that you don't care anything about and somebody that's like, man,
Oh yeah, no, it's
I messed that up.
I can't speak for
You've
women, but I
all
know
done it.
as a man, as men who, I'm bald now, but I grew up going to barbershops and,
Yeah.
went to all male school. I'm in a fraternity. I know, being around the men, and men will tell you, you know, some women are a blessing and some women are
Mm-hmm.
not. Some women are indeed very special. And part of being a
You
man,
know,
what we were taught is you need to be able to distinguish, these are the women you make love to, these are the women
yeah.
you don't. But when you realize, like you said, when you look, this woman was special. We didn't always agree on everything. I'm not saying she's perfect or needs to be perfect, but she was something different. She was
Yeah.
something special. Sometimes you need to pull back and say, look, I need to pick up the phone and call her, or maybe I need to humble myself.
Mm-hmm.
In all your arrogance and all your, conceited reality, sometimes you need the one to lay prostrate and say, look, I throw
Not
myself.
lay prostrate.
Right. You need to throw yourself on the mercies of that person. Like, look, it is my fault. I did this. And for some people, that ego won't let them take a
Yeah.
knee. That
Yeah.
ego, that pride, that, what someone told them on social media, girl, it ain't your fault. Or dude, look, these ain't loyal. Whatever the case may be, block that out. It's noise. It's,
You
it's
miss
not,
your
it's
blessing. You miss your blessing that way.
a
The other
blessing.
thing, you don't want to romanticize your ex
Mm,
and the relationship, because if it ended, 9 times out of 10, it probably should have ended because there were things happening that were not conducive to you having a good, healthy relationship. That's not to say that you can't spin the block. That's not to say that in some instances people don't get back together. I believe that does happen,
mhm.
and it works out. Probably that's the exception and not the rule, but I do believe in some instances that is possible. I would encourage you to get into some kind of therapy. Talking to your friends is
That
good.
ain't therapy.
Talking to God is great. Journaling is wonderful, but I also think therapy is something that we as a community need more of. And so sometimes that breakup hits you so hard, the divorce, whatever, you need to get on somebody's couch to help you walk through that thing. So one, you can heal enough to be in a healthy relationship at a later date.
Hmm.
And to just tie that chapter of your life up, or at least move in the direction of tying it up. Because at the end of the day, if one relationship ends, what are you supposed to do for the rest of your life? Never have one again? Like, that's unrealistic, isn't
Yeah,
it?
no, therapy is underrated, unfortunately. Um, I know I certainly, use therapy. I've gone to therapy. I've gone to two therapists,
Mm-hmm,
matter of fact. Um, I'm hoping now in 2024, moving on, I'm hoping we as a culture and a community of Black people, I hope we can learn to destigmatize
mm-hmm,
therapy. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. It doesn't mean that you're
mm-hmm,
white. It doesn't mean that you lost your Black card. Like, Black people
mm-hmm,
need to go to therapy too, and have a professional, not somebody, not a podcaster, not an opinion giver, but an actual, someone who studied this.
mm-hmm,
Have them, you need to go and talk with them.
mm-hmm,
Get some advice from them. Let them, because they are in the interest, they are in the business of helping you rebuild,
mm-hmm,
helping you build back better, because you need to, again, having a professional sounding board, and you need a professional opinion, because sometimes that professional opinion lets you know, look, maybe this is where you went wrong. Maybe that moving
mm-hmm,
forward, when you find somebody, another person you love, don't do it like this anymore. Stop doing this and do that. Maybe it's time to grow up. Maybe it's time to let certain ways go. Maybe this way worked in the 90s. It don't work that way no more. You can't do
I
it like
worked in the
this.
99 and the 2000s.
Right, right. It was good back then. If you were doing this, what you're doing now back then, oh, you'd be on it. But today, oh no, that it's expired. It's
Yeah,
not true anymore. So it gets to a certain point, you need to have someone like a therapist, like a professional counselor, to say in their own eloquent words, you need to grow up.
yeah.
And it's needed. So I'm a Black man who wholeheartedly encourages therapy. I advocate for it. Find the
Mm-hmm.
right therapist for you, and yeah, go let therapy.
And no one's saying that you have to be in therapy long term. Some people do it long term, but sometimes you hit a wall and there's a crisis and it's so painful, you need somebody, a third party, to help you get through that. And that's totally normal. That's totally fine. The first time I ever went to therapy was when I was realizing that my marriage was not gonna make it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I felt there was a sense of pride, so I didn't want to go crying to my friends and, talking their ears off. And I just felt like I needed an impartial third party to kind of help me navigate what I was feeling and accept what was happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we can delude ourselves and hang on and know, this is not going to ever work with this person. It's not going to ever work. But we'll hang on for dear life. And at some point you have
Hang
to
on.
say at some point you have to give up the ghost and be like, just wasn't meant to be, for whatever reasons. So therapy is not a bad thing. I strongly, strongly, strongly suggest that. Also, your faith. For me, my faith is really, really important to me. And it's been really, really helpful, particularly this last year of my life. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could have gotten through some of the things I've gotten through without being able to talk to God as much as I have been talking to God. So I would strongly encourage you to lean on your faith, whatever that is. I'm not going to say what you should and shouldn't be, but whatever your faith is, I would encourage you to lean on that. Work on building your self-love, right? Because the more you love yourself, the less tolerant you are of people who don't love you.
Got that
So
right.
if you have high self-esteem and you feel good about you, you recognize right away when somebody shows up who means you no good. So work on building yourself up, work on
That is
loving yourself more.
That is a very big thing.
Yeah, work on, you attract better when you love yourself more. And just if you pour into yourself like you were pouring into that person that broke your heart, you'll see some things change for yourself. Trust and believe, been there, done that. So pour into yourself all that love you were going to give that person. Give it to yourself. It's okay. Take the time away that you need to regroup and recalibrate and love on you and do all the things that maybe you wanted to travel and your spouse
Hmm.
didn't, so you didn't travel. Then now take the time and go travel. Maybe you wanted to take a course and your spouse or your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend talked you out of it. Go take the course. Go do all the things that are going to give you all the feels, and work on loving yourself so that you can recognize in somebody else who's supposed to have access to you. Because when you don't know who you are, anybody, it's like an open door.
Hmm.
And you become very protective of you when you really love you. Think about the things and the people that you love. If you have cherished items at home, you're very careful about who can have access to those things, who can touch them, who can come to your home, who can talk to your mama, who can talk to your kids and meet your kids. You're very protective of those things. We should be that protective of ourselves. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of times it's just like open access. People come in and wreak havoc like a bull in a china shop and go on about their business, and you're left to pick up the pieces because you weren't that selective about who you allowed access, into your heart spaces. So work on building yourself up, loving you, spend time with people that love you, and it'll all be to your good.
I think that, that's, I mean, I know that there are other steps that you're going to lay out. I love that step so much. And I put a extra big old special gold star by that step because, a byproduct, I mean, I think a byproduct of going out there and looking inward and building yourself up, build yourself up, you know, financially, emotionally, everything, build yourself up again, pick yourself up from, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, move forward from the pain of divorce or breakup, whatever the case may be. But yeah, but use this opportunity, this singlehood that you're in this space now, use an opportunity to get more money, use an opportunity to get back in shape, get on the treadmill and start running, go lift some weights, go take a martial art class, go do some things that you've been putting off for years. Now you have the freedom to do. Number one, why? Two big old benefits that come with that. Number one, you are improving yourself. Some people, you know, I, they call it the revenge body. Some people, I look at it like, go to the gym, work out. Some people say, revenge body. I didn't know what that meant exactly, but I promise you, use this opportunity now. Go hit them weights.
Yeah.
Go focus on, your body and, looking good, standing in the mirror naked and like, damn, I look good. Because the byproduct, like I said, I mentioned the byproduct is the
Yeah.
more you do that, the less you're at home thinking about your ex. Because,
Mhm.
I know that was something that was amazing for me. And it was so helpful when I started, going on more walks or,
Mhm.
I started looking at other things to invest my money in and other career opportunities and other stuff. The more I started looking at all these different ways to improve myself, I wasn't at home thinking about my ex.
Mhm.
I got other things in my mind, things that are building, it's like, okay, I'm a build a better version of me. The version that, my ex broken with, I'm like, that's not who I am. Now I'm a better
Mhm.
version of that man.
Yeah.
And going out and involving yourself in these things, again, get a better education, get your money up, go and get that six pack you always wanted, whatever the case may be. I promise you, during the course and while you're doing these things, when you're investing in that time and that energy and that work inside that work, you're not going to be thinking about your ex. You're
Mhm.
distracted. Because again, I would tell anybody, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, you staying home alone, just by yourself, thinking about that is not a great place to be in. If you're just
No.
constantly somewhere thinking about your ex or thinking about what could have been or why this had to happen to you or what was me, just staying home crying, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah. Also, I think you have to give yourself a time limit to grieve. Um, like I think there needs to be a cutoff. So if it was a marriage, if it was if you say, look, I'm going to give myself a month to just grieve this thing out. And at the end of that month, I'm going to get back out there. I'm going to put my red lipstick on and I'm going to do whatever it is I need to do to get back out there. I think you have to put a time limit on, like it cannot be indefinitely. I don't think you ever fully heal. I think that you get to a point where you can carry it so that it's in a way that it's not negatively impacting future relationships. Like if you really love somebody and you lose them, that's a wound that's probably going to always be with you on some level, right? So if it's 6 months later and you're still in the middle of your bed crying, something went wrong, right? It shouldn't take you that long to get over it, and that's probably when you need therapy and Jesus at that point. But I think you need to give yourself a cutoff, and I think you need to say, I'm going to just grieve and cry and eat Cheetos or whatever it is for 30 days. And on day 31, I'm back out there. Back out there doesn't mean back under somebody, okay? Back out there means just in the arena. Maybe now you're taking numbers, or you're giving out your number, or maybe you go on a date, or maybe you go on a walk with somebody. I don't know. But you can't, for all intents and purposes, die because the relationship.
Don't die while you're living. Don't die while you're living.
You can't. You have to continue to live, and I think so many of us close ourselves off to any potential of love from somebody else because we're so wrapped up in the past. And I understand that, because love is real. And if you really, really love somebody from the soles of your feet and they're no longer there, that hurts. That's a real thing. But at some point you have to put a pin in it and say, but I got to keep moving, and then keep moving. And maybe there's an instance where they're going to catch up. Maybe, you never know how things, look at Nelly and Ashanti. Yeah. But people circle the block, some things reconnect. People who are divorced remarry. People who broke up 20 years ago get back, run into each other somewhere and get back together. So those things can happen, but I wouldn't say hold out hope that they will happen. I just think you need to just keep it moving.
Big shout out
to Nelly and Ashanti. Shout out to y'all.
I guess Nelly was like, let's go around, give me a second. I'm gonna put something in that belly. I'm gonna put a baby in you.
Lord.
Like, you ain't got to wait a season. I'm gonna put a baby in you this time. And ladies, please don't be eating Cheetos for 30 days. then you really gonna need a gym membership out here. But no, I do agree. I don't. It's one thing to. Time limits can be important. They can be beneficial, because I would never want anybody out here moping for years. I had to stop myself from doing that. Don't be out here, grieving, and your ex has probably already moved on with somebody else, but you're still there. It's almost like, okay, they're
married, they're remarried, and you're
married, you're still, crying about what could have been. No, don't give them that power. Like, move on. I know for me, I had to go through literally all the seasons more than once. I went through the depression, the moping, the sadness, the anger. But then then something happened one day, and I realized something happened one day. I looked in the mirror, like, oh crap, I done lost weight. I'm looking good. I'm getting more compliments. Now that people know I'm divorced, I'm getting more DMs from women. People flirting with me. I'm like, use as an opportunity again, because maybe either me being who I am or Leo, at that point in my life, especially when I started seeing my money go up, look, I'm going to go out and get more cologne. I'm literally flirting with every woman with a pulse at that point, because I'm like, okay, I spent all the years in marriage, and I was faithful and respectful, and this and third. But now I'm single. I was charming. I'll put it like this: I was the quintessential quintessential with a K, Kappa to every woman I met, because I'm like, well, I can do it now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be that now, and everything, and it was part of my healing. It was part of my self-improvement. It was part of me realizing, okay, I can't be in this house crying and depressed. I'm gonna get out.
Right.
I'm outside at that point. I'm gonna live my life and see the benefit, realize the benefit of now I'm single. Now I can do certain things that I wasn't doing for the benefit and protection of my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can actually focus on me, because that's the other part that some people need to realize when you're single. For the people out there who think singlehood is, like you said, a disease or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. Look, singlehood is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Singlehood is, I can be selfish. I don't have to think about anybody else. I don't have to consider anybody else. It's all about me. You can't, that's not conducive in a relationship, but it's definitely conducive while you're single.
Mm-hmm. I have three more points. Stay in gratitude. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, I think you should spend some time focusing on, or most of your time focusing on what you do have. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yes, Larry is gone. Yes, Michelle is gone. Yes, you love them. Yes, you had hopes and dreams for them, but you still have friends who love you. You still have, maybe you have children. You're gainfully employed. You have transportation. Your bank account looks good. Um, you're able to travel. You're healthy. You have, found a great church. Think on the things. You're going back to school. Think on the things that make you happy. Think on the things that you still have.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that you don't have get smaller and smaller and smaller. But the more you perseverate on something, the larger it seems. And so if every day you're thinking about Larry, Larry's not here, Larry's not here, Larry's not here. What's Larry doing? Larry probably has another woman. He probably does, but
It's like he does, and let that other woman deal with the crap you had to do. Like, what's your
so
problem
what?
now?
Yeah, so what? But just spend more time in gratitude for what you do have. And I know,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't necessarily in the moment when you're thinking about Larry, that doesn't necessarily feel good. But I promise you, the more you think on the things that you have and stay in gratitude for the things that you have, the more important it becomes to you. And the more you attract to you when you stay in gratitude. The other thing I would say is you need to forgive the person. So if they hurt you, if they mistreated you, if they lied, if they whatever they
Mm.
did, you need to forgive. And forgive does not mean that you're going to stay in relationship with that person. It doesn't mean that you have to stay connected to them. It just means that you're releasing all the negativity attached to what they did to you so that you can go on and be good with somebody else. So it's not for them, it's for you.
Mm-hmm.
So forgive, right? Forgive doesn't mean you still have to fool with them. I want to be clear about that, unless you want to. And then you want to look at your circle. So if your goal, if you know I want to be married, then you probably want to start seeking out some happily married women, because
Preface
the
that with
conversation, the conversation is different. If you look around your circle and all your friends are like you, single, unhappy, bitter, male bashing,
mm,
you may want to make some adjustments there. Okay. So it's not to say that a divorced woman can't give relationship advice. She can tell you like what not to do, but you want to be in relationship with women who are happily married so they can help you get to where they are.
right.
There's
I
no
mean,
shame in that. There's no
yeah,
shame
no.
in that.
If you look at your circle,
Mhm.
right, like you said, bitter, Kevin Samuels hating man bashers who think all men are bad or all men cheat. If you know that's not you, you may want to leave that group text.
Mhm.
Just silently walk out and not, be, surrounded by that negativity. And same
Mhm.
thing for fellas. There's no benefit to it's not a good thing to constantly be around other men who don't have anything positive to say about women or
Mhm.
black women, or it's not positive to be around men who think that your real answer for love is to go outside the states, because what you need ain't here in the US, is not here in Georgia, not here in Atlanta. Like, you don't want to be around men that's constantly what they're peddling. Because fact of the matter is like, okay, yeah, I've been around those, digitally I'll see these men on social. I'm like, I don't want to be like you. I just got to be honest. Ain't nothing you got, I won't. I don't want your life. So I'm gonna go mosey on over here with these men who are winning. They got, perceivably the great marriage and the family. And, when they're out with their wife, they can't keep their hands off their wife. And always speaking positively. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go hang out with these dudes over here because maybe some of what they got will rub off on me, and I'll get the same results. And so, yeah, your circle of friends. What's that saying? Show me who your friends are, and I'll who you are. And so,
Yeah.
you don't. I can't speak for everybody else. I didn't realize that until I was much older. I mean, when I say much older, I mean in my 30s. When I was in my 30s, I didn't think about dag. I'm a reflection of my friends and vice versa. So, and it's not an indictment on my friends, but if you're in a certain space, you're trying to elevate and get to a better version of you. And the friends who are around you keep reminding you of who you used to be, or that old version of you that wasn't happy. Then, yeah, you got a choice to make. Life is about choice.
Yeah.
You always got a choice. You can stay or leave.
My pastor always says, you are born looking like your parents, but you die looking like your decisions. And so,
Wow.
that
A lot of us look
it
like
hit
our
me
decisions.
it hit me in the chest. And so, I would just encourage anybody watching, just take time to take care of yourself first. Once you've taken care of yourself, the air is different, right? Check your circle. And if you know that you want to be in a relationship, if you want to be married, you need to be around people who want the same thing or who have the same thing. It's the same thing with money, right? So if you want, a certain portfolio, hanging around people who don't have two nickels to rub together is not going to get you the portfolio that you want. So you need to be in the rooms of the people who have the portfolios that you want. Same premise. So it's okay to elevate. You can still be friends, with whomever, but it's okay to elevate and change who's sitting at your table. And, give yourself permission, forgive yourself too. I didn't say that, but sometimes we just pick wrong. Okay. Sometimes we miss some things. Sometimes we saw things and we went full speed ahead anyway. But you have to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for what you didn't know. Forgive yourself for choosing wrong. Forgive yourself for loving the wrong person. And I would even say it's never a loss when you show up for somebody and you love them with everything you have. It's their loss, right? So don't shame yourself for loving somebody. That's a win for you. It's a loss for them when you're no longer there, but it's a win for you. And so just be a good steward of all that love that you have and be selective about who you give it to. We are all deserving of love. We are all deserving of the life that we want. We can have it. You just have to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with good people, and then pay attention to your thought diet, like what you're ingesting. There's some stuff on social media I'm just not going to click on. Just not going to click on it. I'm just not going to read it. There are people that I've unfriended because their posts daily were just negatives, bashing men, it's bashing women, it's bashing relationships. And why am I wanting to consume that when my own constitution is the complete opposite of that? I believe, again, I'm going to say, I believe in love. I believe in marriage. I believe in Black men. I believe in Black women. I believe in healthy relationships. So why would I constantly ingest negativity about those things? Makes no sense. So we just have to be better stewards. That's even TV shows that I will and will not watch. It's music that I won't listen to. And so you just have to be careful, because all that stuff kind of seeps into your body, and you start to believe it. You don't even know it, but you're starting to believe the hot, what's the girl's name? Young Miami and Sexy Red. And you start believing
Sexy Red.
You start believing that foolishness, and it's like,
You got a lot of people out here who the Sexy Reds, the Glorillas, the Cardi B's, and the Megs, those are their influencers. Those are their relationship influencers. Like I get,
I know you're talking about.
I date people how I date because Cardi said to do it this way, or hot girl summer, or hot girl summer actually ruined a lot of relationships and marriages. Um, but that's another podcast in and of itself. But no, yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, you can't be out here listening to Sexy Red 24/7 and
It just disturbs my spirit. Some stuff I see, it's like, I feel like I need to go wash my eyes with bleach or something because it's just so disturbing. And I'm like, I cannot ingest this day after day after day and then say I want to have this life. I just can't do it. So there has to be a clear, bright line um, on what I'm doing. And I'm trying to be who I'm supposed to be in my private life. So, I'm not perfect. Nobody is. And that's the other thing I want to say. There is no perfect man, ladies. There is no perfect woman, fellas. There is no perfect relationship, right? But there is someone out there who is perfect for you and who is willing to do the work. So I need you to get that in your spirit and feel that deep down in your shanana, okay, in your handala shandala. I need you to accept that there is somebody out there for you. Do not believe these people on social media who tell you you've hit a wall, you're too old, you're too fat, you're too this, you're too that. There's somebody there who will love your socks off. Trust and believe.
absolutely. And it's a great feeling. If you haven't experienced it, then yeah, it's out there. Never. I just want to, second that again. We are living in an age where everybody's a relationship expert. Everybody's giving advice. Some people just happen to go more viral than others. And when that happens, of course, they create disciples and all that stuff. Don't let that sway what you know to be true, that there are great men and great women out here. I promise you, fellas, ladies, whatever, there is somebody out here who will love your skid marks. You just have to find them. They're out there. I promise you. There are people out there who, all you got to do is just find them, come across them, identify them, and they will give you that love that you've always wanted, that you've always prayed for. They will give you love that deep down you deserve. Everybody does. I am of the opinion that everyone deserves to be loved.
Absolutely.
None of us are perfect. We're all extremely flawed. But I think everybody deserves to know how it feels to be truly, truly loved. It is an awesome feeling. And everybody deserves it. So don't let social media, which is not real, social media is artificial. Don't let it distort your perception of, what's out there. Trust me, there are a lot of clowns out there. I'm not going to deny that. Plenty of clowns, this whole circus out there, but not everybody goes to the circus. Not everybody is playing with the monkeys or the tiger. Fine, there is somebody out there they're waiting.
Yeah.
They're praying for you right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Please don't lose hope.
And you have to figure out if you believe that you deserve love. Because if a core belief of yours is that you don't believe that you deserve love, you'll never get it. So if it's hard for you to say that to yourself, that you deserve love, then there is some work there that needs to be done. It is not to say that you won't ever get it, but it's going to take longer until you fix that. So if you have a problem saying to yourself, looking in the mirror and saying, I deserve to be loved, if that's a problem for you, that's an indicator to me, and it should be an indicator to you, that there is some more work that you need to do to get to a place of healing so that you can receive love from somebody who wants to give you all those things, right? Because we can be our own worst enemy sometimes in relationships. You start throwing roadblocks like kung fu, they're throwing love at you, because you don't feel like deep down, you don't feel like you deserve it. So I'm here to say to anybody listening, to everybody listening, you deserve it. It doesn't matter what's happened in your past. It doesn't matter who you fumbled. It doesn't matter who fumbled you. It doesn't matter who left you. It doesn't matter who divorced you. It doesn't matter who cheated on you. You still deserve love, and you can have it if you're willing to do the work to get to the place that you need to be to receive healthy love. Do you have any parting words?
Everyone, I mean, it's hard to follow that. I'm sitting up here like, as she's talking, I'm like, I feel seen. I feel seen.
I'm
but
in
in
my
all
bag
seriousness,
today.
it's there is life after divorce, and
Mhm.
I can't stress that enough. Um, Regardless of how you feel, there is potentially a whole new world of possibilities, awesome possibilities, and you know, in store for you. So
Mhm.
again, I'm not to belabor the point, not to belabor what Jesse Jackson. Keep hope alive because it's real. I'm not saying that it's not a punchline,
Yeah.
but the day you lose hope, the day
Mhm.
you just say F it and think all men are this or all women are that, then you truly lost. You truly, at that point, you really need to find therapy. Like therapy,
Mhm.
we need to make that an underlying theme. Therapy
Mhm.
works. Therapy is beneficial, but yes, you need to do the work, and start there. And so I'm one of those people. I wish and pray for everyone to find the love that they're looking for.
Absolutely.
So it's a great feeling.
I'm actually going to pray for that when I get off. That anybody who's watching, anybody that's commenting, that kind of love finds you because you deserve it. And when you get it, you inbox me and let me know that
Hold
Jesus
it.
heard my prayer for you. But everybody listening, you deserve that kind of love. You absolutely do. I don't care who told you that you don't. I don't care what your mama said when you were little. I don't care what your daddy told you. I don't care what your teacher in third grade said. I don't care what your ex-husband said when he was leaving.
Mhm.
He took the furniture and walked out the door. I don't care what they said. You deserve it. You shall have it. You can do the work. You can get to that place. I promise you that. Where can we find you on social media, Trey?
Oh, for the people who actually want to follow me and look for me, first and foremost, please, I encourage everyone to find my YouTube channel. If you are on YouTube, please visit www.youtube.com/ringside, RINGSIDE LLC. And you'll find my channel where I interview Atlanta's top influencers and thought leaders like this Belle right here, interview thought leaders and influencers on their, unvarnished opinions about singlehood, dating, marriage, sex, kink, and fetish. If you're on Facebook, just type in Troy Vaughn III and you'll see my pretty face show up. If you're on TikTok or IG, you can just find me at The Dating Commentator. That's The Dating Commentator. Instagram and TikTok. Follow me.
Okay. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you so very much. Please like and share and subscribe to my page. I try to be positive and uplifting, and I'm a work in progress. I'm not perfect, but I do feel like I'm on assignment. You can find me across all social media platforms on I Am Belle Morgan. That's on, or Push Radio. That's IG. X, Facebook. That's where you can find me. So I look forward to talking to you guys again real soon about real life issues in a meaningful way. Until then, have a great evening.